What's up, everybody? Welcome once again to my Final Fantasy series review. Today we are looking at Final Fantasy X, a game that was released in Japan on July 19th, 2001, and it did not come here to America until December 17th, 2001. Now, today we have a very special episode. A good friend of mine actually requested to join me on reviewing this game, and I was more than happy to let him do this. So, I want to introduce everybody listening to Quincy Lloyd. Q, why don't you say what's up?
Hey, what's going on, guys? I appreciate you having me on, man. I really appreciate it. It's one of my favorite games, Final Fantasy X.
Oh yeah, man. Like I said, I'm sure we had talked about it in the past, but yeah, it kind of came out. You're like, dude, whenever you get to 10, I gotta do this. I was like, fuck yes. Anytime to team up
Yeah.
with you, Q, I'm excited for it. So,
Oh man.
yeah, tell us, tell me, tell everyone listening. So, what was it about 10 that made you have to come on the show today?
Okay, well, so 10 came out on the PlayStation 2 about 2001, and I was a lot of hype around it before it came and hit the states,
Oh yeah, oh
right?
yeah,
So like every magazine had like a little bit here and there, and all the stuff they were doing. And I want to say around that time when the PlayStation 2 came out, they had Square had a game called The Bouncer for PlayStation 2,
yeah. I believe that was
and
their
like
first game for PS2. Yeah,
yeah, and then there the graphics of the game pretty much match the cutscenes.
right.
So instead of just having the sprites and then you have a cutscene that looks totally different than what the sprites look like, it was all supposed to blend together. So I was crazy excited for it, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so back in the day, they also had the PlayStation magazine that came out with the demos.
Oh yeah.
And so like I'm thinking like, okay, well I'll just wait till I hear about it. Well, they came out on one of the PlayStation magazine demos, and I must have played that thing like I don't know a million times.
Uh,
It starts up and it goes up. I want to say it is just after the Blitzball sequence, but
okay.
they gave you a lot of room to do a lot of stuff, and just that little piece of game. So, oh man, I got to play the rest of this.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
Um,
Final Fantasy demos like early on, even though they're not always reflective of the final game, they're a blast. They know how to hook you, which really started with Part Seven. You know, it had
yeah,
a demo. I think in one of those PlayStation Underground, it had a million other little demos on them, and like
yeah,
started with
yeah.
that. And now I never got to play the 10 demo. Actually, man, that's something I got to track down for the collection.
It was pretty awesome. I've got it buried somewhere, but I play It doesn't still have it because they used to have these like little plastic cases that came in, or you get a sleeve
Right.
sometimes. But I
Right.
want to say this one actually had like a plastic case for it. I
Oh
was like, oh,
wow.
this is something special. So I went in there and I played it, and I was like, I can't get enough of it. So I want to say there was a few months in between when the demo came out and the actual game came out. They weren't right on top of each other.
Right.
So I had plenty of time to mess around with the demo. Like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And I was hooked.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
So
10, I was going to say, sorry to jump in. 10
yeah,
is,
yeah, yeah,
it was the first Final Fantasy of the PlayStation era. And much like 7 and, 4, as we know it now, but 2 back on Super Nintendo, the first Final Fantasies are always big. And this is the era where Squaresoft, for better or worse, depending on, what you're looking for in your games, really started pushing the cinematic elements. And like you said,
yes,
how, like, in the bouncer and, like, in 10, like don't get it wrong, like they used a lot of cinematics of in-game graphics because the in-game graphics were
yeah,
phenomenal, and then you got to the
they were.
cutscenes, and the cutscenes are just like for the time, just mind-blowing. So you had a lot of
Yes,
that going on in there, on top of a very fun turn-based style still combat, and
it was awesome.
a real fascinating world. And probably my favorite part about it is the art design. The creators really went to Okinawa for a lot of inspiration, especially on Titus's design and like
Yes,
Yuna's kimono look, and they took a lot of influence from there, mixed it into a fantasy realm where you have underwater rugby with an amazing heavy
yeah,
metal opening song.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
The underwater rugby. I think it was called Blitzball. I'm not
yeah,
real
Blitzball.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I'm not even a sports person like that.
right, right.
And I wouldn't even say something like that. But I played the mess out of that too.
I hated
And
it, to be honest.
you
I
did.
I played the one game you have to play for the
Yeah.
storyline, and then I never touched that shit again. If I'm being honest,
Yeah, I actually played it.
dude, I
And
couldn't get
then
into it. But I hear you. A lot of people are
usually
like that, though.
yeah, usually there's like extra stuff that I don't get into, but I want to say I dipped into every little bit of that game.
Oh
And
wow,
like the special weapons you could get. I did all that, and chasing the cactuars down and all that
Oh,
stuff.
I mean, you gotta go for the
Yeah,
cactuars every time. If there's an option
yeah,
for cactuars or tome berries, I'm usually in that shit. Those are like my two of my
yeah,
favorite Final Fantasy, monsters. Tome berry being number one, but cactuars a close second. So,
yeah.
so let me ask you then. Like, you had a wide cast of characters, which I really liked, and you got into them really quick because it quickly showed how switching out party members is the efficient strategy for battles. So, like, who are some of who's your favorite character in Final Fantasy X?
To tell you the truth, I would say Titus.
Tidus? That's surprising.
Yeah,
Most people don't
yeah.
like the
I know
main
people say,
protagonist.
yeah, they say he was like, they say I think people were saying like he was whiny and stuff like that.
A little
But I
bit.
mean, to me, the story was all about him, and I was all about the story. I mean, he used to have all the relationship that was going on. I
Right.
think Yuna and I forget Riku were like
Riku.
cousins.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they were cousins, and then maybe Auron knew Jet. I guess I can't quite remember,
Yeah,
but they
Jet.
all had the
Yeah, Orin and Jet were on the last mission that defeated Sin.
yeah,
Defeated in quotation marks. That's a whole big part of the story of the ongoing menace
right,
of Sin, and it just keeps coming back. It's an unstoppable beast. You get into a whole lot of
right,
metaphysical stuff, which is kind of where I think the story loses me a bit. But
yeah.
overall, though, it's a grand adventure and a beautiful world that they rendered in it, though.
It was a great time. The music was amazing.
Yeah.
Was Road to Zanarkand on this one?
Yes, that's actually what the good listeners heard was the
Yeah,
opening prelude,
yeah.
which turned into like
Oh
the,
my
the
god.
Orin, like I said, which led into the actual when
Yeah,
you get into Xanarkand and you get the Orin. Like I forget what it's like. I know the only English you really remember hearing is like "Don't give up, Orin," and it shows the Blitzball in the full CG. And Orin just kind of looking there, and again, just beautiful graphics for the time and for now. Honestly, they hold up, even in the original like PS2. Not even the HD remasters, which I bought every version they've ever re-released. Like
yeah,
going back to your favorite character, like mine is Waka. He's my boy. He got the big pompadour. He has the volleyball, the blitzball really, but like who just
yep,
nails enemies
yep.
out the sky. And I
Yes.
thought he had a great character arc because I mean
Yeah.
right away he's your bro. He's there for you. He's really pushing for Titus to be accepted into the group. But then you learn the dealing of loss of his brother and the dealing with the it's like I don't know if it's this. I mean, we can call it racism, but it's almost more religious. I forget. I can't think of the term for that. How he hates the
Yep.
Albed,
Yep.
and like
Yep.
he really grows throughout the series, or out through the game.
Yep.
And you
It's
know
pretty
what?
awesome. Yep.
And for spoilers, you know what? He gets the big titty goth girl, and you can't hate that. He gets with Lulu. He got my boy
Yeah.
got it. My boy got it.
Yeah.
But I also liked
Yeah.
Riku. I thought she was just cute character. I loved her chemist ability, basically mixing items and stuff. I always had her in my final party. But yeah, like I said, it's a really fun game that still holds up. I'm actually currently, whenever I kind of get back in the mood for turn-based games again, I'm still working through the Switch version of the HD remaster for 10 and 10.2.
I heard. I heard the HD remaster might have had like some changes to it, to where it might have some connections to Seven. Have you heard anything like that?
Not to 7, no, I've not heard that.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't surprise me
Um.
because 7 is obsessed, or Japan is obsessed with 7. And
Yeah.
but in their remasters, even going back to like Game Boy Advance, adding extra levels to Part 4 and 1 and stuff like that, they usually do try to add little bits here and there to it. But I hadn't heard that actually.
So, can you skip the cutscenes
No, you
on the
cannot.
remaster?
No, you can't.
uh,
I,
it
I
was later
wish.
on. It was later on that I heard that you couldn't skip them on the PlayStation 2 version, but I never noticed it.
Oh,
I
I mean,
watched all of it.
and there might be. I mean, you know what? I ain't gonna lie though. There might be an option that I haven't noticed. Because I haven't gotten too deep into the Switch version. I know there is,
Yeah,
thankfully, the long and short summons animation. So like once you see your summon one time in its full glory, you may not want to watch a 3-minute summon every time in battle.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hey, I like what is this? I'm gonna miss.
yeah.
I'm gonna butcher his name. Bahamut or
Bahamut, yeah, you got it,
Bahamut, but I love that dude. I
dude.
watch
Yeah,
that summon every single time. uh,
like him and Shiva are probably my favorites, just because I love Shiva. She had the big dreads and just let's just say it. She's looking hot in this game, and I have to appreciate that for her.
yeah,
And I actually have the Bahamut 10 figure, and there's
yeah. I've
he's
seen that.
posable, But you know what? There's really only way you need to pose him, sitting there with them arms crossed, looking like a fucking boss. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yes. Yes, sir. Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Maybe I'm sorry to interrupt you there.
Oh, you're good.
With your other Final Fantasy games, right? With this game, for me,
Yeah.
I played other RPGs, and everybody's got their own. You got your mage and your monk and your warrior and all that stuff.
Right.
And they're pretty much like locked down to those roles. I
Right.
don't know if they have any other games where they're not locked down, but I felt like in 10 they weren't so much. So even if you had a healer, right, or a
Right.
white mage or whatever, you could give them something that could actually cause damage to the other party.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like now each character starts off locked into their pretty much their set ways. But the beauty of the sphere grid was which they introduced into this one of like eventually and actually in the remake you can jump straight to it where you have just an open board if you wanted to, or you eventually level it up enough to where you can actually break into other spheres. So, like Yuna starts off as pretty much the white mage. She is the healer slash summoner, but like level her up enough and play your sphere grid well enough, you can actually move her into like black magic or into support time magic, that kind of stuff. So it's a very versatile game if you put it to time though, because I know the first time I played
Yeah,
through it, I don't think I got anybody really outside of their designated class, but but that also though still encourages the whole like the switching out, which it's a simple
yeah,
mechanic, but it's a fun mechanic to me because like instead of just picking your favorites and just running the whole game through them, you switch. It encourages you to play the entire party, which I really liked.
yeah. It was a great game, and I appreciate you letting me come on and talk about it.
Oh yeah, man. I know I don't want to keep it too long. I think we've sang its praises. Like I said, I think a little bit of the story got muddled towards the end, but
Yeah.
overall, still a damn good entry, and it led to a sequel, which
Uh,
I liked.
about
Well, go ahead,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I
Go
was
ahead. Let me hear your thoughts.
uh, about the sequel,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
I played it and I started it and I didn't finish it because the save didn't carry over. So all that
Oh,
stuff that I had worked on, like I had played hours and hours and hours of 10 to get everybody like just hyped up, just juiced up. By the time I made it to 10 at the end of 10, he
yeah.
was short work, right?
Right,
So
right.
when I started 10-2 and all that stuff was gone, oh, my heart was broken.
Oh yeah. I mean that's unfortunately standard. JRPG, even if it is a direct sequel, which is rare in Final Fantasy. That was the first one. That was a actual direct sequel. And well, yeah, I still liked it. Some people complained, said it was a little girly. I'm like, look, you're playing a video game. Don't try to act manly about shit.
Yeah, yeah.
It's anime as fuck. They call it dress spheres,
Yeah,
yeah, but it was the class system. It
yeah.
was changing your classes as you wanted to. I enjoyed that one. Like I said, I wasn't sure if I'm doing any of the sequels as a full review. That's a quick one, but I still might end up making a video of it. But Quincy, I don't want to keep you. I know you're basically
Appreciate
ducking
it.
out for lunch, and
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna let you get back to it, brother. Thank you so much for
I
joining me
appreciate it.
on this, man.
I appreciate you having me. I really do.
Yeah, dude, and as some of y'all might know, I run a podcast on another channel. Man, we might have to get you on there someday too, when you have time to really
Hey,
sit
I
down and
appreciate
talk
it.
with us.
I appreciate it, man.
Right on, brother. Well, if y'all liked what you have heard, please like, comment, subscribe, share the video, tell your friends, tell your babysitters of your dogs, and tell everyone out there that you heard some great Final Fantasy reviews. That's gonna do it for now. We'll catch y'all next time.